Do the young people you work and support struggle to trust other people? Do they find it hard to make friends? And even worse, do they find it hard to keep friends once they've got them? If any of those things are interesting to you, you should stick around, because I'm going to do a deep dive into foundational knowledge you need to know in order to support the young people in your life better. My name's Alex. I'm a forensic psychologist who's passionate about giving you the tools that are going to help you better understand and work with young people, especially those ones with labels like hard to reach, challenging, or antisocial. We're going to jump into attachment and think about how that shapes the way people behave in relationships. We're going to do a whistle-stop tour of the foundations of psychology and infant bonding. I'm going to introduce you to attachment theory as posited by John Bowlby, one of the OGs of the space. We're also going to think about ways to support healthy attachment in infants. So let's do a deep dive into some history of infant bonding. History of bonding has been a big deal in psychology for at least 145 years. It all started back in 1890 with this guy called William James. His take-home message was, infants can't tell the difference between sensations, people, objects, and sound. We need our caregivers to guide us through the world to help us learn what's what. Next up, it's the granddaddy of psychology, famous for his love of cigars, his unfortunate enthusiasm for cocaine, and obviously that everything in the world is about sex. The man otherwise known as Sigmund Freud. Freud believed that infants form attachment to their mothers primarily because she provides food, linking attachment to basic survival instincts. Fast forward to 1950s when psychology went full mad scientist mode.
Now in this experiment, this is the apparatus we use. That looks diabolical. That's just the way the baby monkey feels about it.
This guy, Harry Harlow, and his now infamous monkey experiments. He wanted to test whether babies, or in this case, baby monkeys, bonded with caregivers who provide food or ones that provide comfort. This was groundbreaking at the time because it shattered the old school beliefs that babies only formed attachments to main caregivers for food. So it turns out, from Harlow, that warmth, security, and emotional connection matter way more than just getting fed. Roll on the mid-20th century with the OG John Bowlby, who first coined the term attachment. He firmly removed and moved on the psychological understandings of bonding in the realms of snack-based relationship and argued that emotional security, not just food, was the real glue of human bond. Bowlby's one of the OGs of attachment literature because he was the first guy to put pen to paper and develop a complete theory around why infants need to form close bonds with their caregivers. This was called his monotropic theory of attachment. So it was his work that set the stage for everything we know about attachment now. But what does this theory actually say? What do parents need to do to set their kids up for success? If you're really interested in being a scientific practitioner, like I would encourage you to do, you should go check out the description, because I've got John Bowlby's foundational text all about attachment in the description. So if you want to absorb some science from the primary sources, which is the way you should do it, it's there for you. Check out the description. So attachment as an instinctive behavior. In his theory, it says that attachment's a socially learned behavior. This innate drive for infants to find, seek out a safe person when something scary, unknown, or uncertain is going on around them. I mean, I'm not sure if it's even infants that need that. Innate behavior that's unconscious. Bowlby argued that all the stuff we see from babies, crying, cooing, smiling, being super clingy, are all evolutionary tactics to keep us close to people who could protect us. Which makes sense. He called these social releases, as they're designed to get the attention of caregivers and trigger reciprocal interaction. John Bowlby was all about the secure base, that the trusted caregiver was a secure base that would allow a baby to explore the world without fear, because the baby knows there's always someone there to look out for them, make sure everything's okay. So a good metaphor for the attachment system is a sonar. As a baby crawls and totters around the place, their tiny little brains are already subconsciously scanning the environment, looking for things that seem odd or out of place. When something changes externally in the environment or internally within the baby, the infant's immediately going to seek out close proximity to the caregiver. Things like crying, crawling back towards their caregiver, refusing to let mum go or be put down is the system's way of ensuring safety. They'll be driven to stay there until they feel safe again. I mean, it's wild, isn't it? A baby, 6 to 12 months old, can't talk, they can barely form words, and they have zero control over their toilet habits. But somehow their tiny little brains are wired to detect the environment, survey it for danger, and then engage supportive behaviors to keep them safe, even before they can form their first word. They don't need language, logic, or life experiences. These are thought to be innate drives that have been baked into us over millions of years of evolution. So we like to think of attachment as a way of forming internal working models about relationships. I don't think people realize just how crucial these first couple of days, weeks, months, and years are. We tend to assume that because babies are so small, these early experiences can't have that much of an impact. After all, the average life expectancy today is 80 years. So what's the first 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 24 months got to do with anything? Especially when you think about 83 years. But here's the thing. This first relationship is forming at the exact same time that key parts of the brain are developing. All the brain regions are connecting, causing signals, learning experiences. They're all building the frameworks for how you perceive yourself, how you perceive other people, and in general, how you see the world. It's all getting organized now. More than at any other point in life, the environment you're in during these early years shapes what gets programmed into your brain. If you're growing up in a great place where the environment's full of safety, security, and care, the brain wires itself for trust and stability, which is exactly what we want. If you're not that lucky and you grew up in environments that were filled with fear, uncertainty, and chaos, the brain also adapts to keep you safe there, to expect and prepare instead. This first caregiver relationship creates the blueprint for your unconscious mind. This is the blueprint used to understand and navigate the world and all other future relationships. When caregivers are consistently there for you when you need them, tuned in, trying to understand what's going on with you, meeting the infant's needs, the baby develops trust. When I cry, someone comes. When I'm hungry, someone feeds me. When I'm hurt, someone's there. And when I need comfort at 3 a.m., someone's there to help me. So BOWLBY acknowledged that attachment figure doesn't have to be simply the child's mother. There are other attachment figures in an infant's life. He was still arguing that the mother-infant relationship is key, but there are other attachment figures in an infant's life, and they can also be used as a secure base. Everybody loves their nanny or their grandma. Attachment can occur to any consistent caregiver. So the last thing to think about with BOWLBY's theory was this idea of a critical period. So he argues that challenges in this foundational relationship by age 3 can have long-lasting effects on personality structure, future resilience, self-understanding, and self-control. BOWLBY saw mother-infant separation as key in understanding the development of future issues, especially those within romantic and personal relationships. As usual, we have to be aware of the biological, psychological, and social factors that all mix together to form the basis of development. This channel's here to explore the deep-rooted factors that help to shape a young person's path, from early childhood experiences to the environments they're growing up in now. If we want to understand why some young people are struggling with aggression, risk-taking, crime, and antisocial behavior, we have to have a basic understanding of attachment and how that works. So let's apply it to your place and think about how it's going in your... Think about the young people that you're supporting and consider their early experiences. How might these early years have shaped the way they're behaving today? Did they have a consistent caregiver who was responsive to their needs? Someone who provided safety, comfort, consistency, and reliability? Another way of thinking about it is, how do they respond to you now when you trigger those attachment relationships? Do they avoid showing any emotion? Do they get anxiously worried and keep trying to check that everything's okay and that you're all right? Are they always looking to see if they've done something wrong? Are they always checking that they haven't done something to ruin the relationship or the placement? Are they acting like they need you, but they reject you whenever you come close? Think about their caregivers. Were they facing challenges in their own life? Financial stress, mental health difficulties, substance misuse, unstable housing, being in domestically violent relationships? And how did that affect the way that they could interact? The psychological space they had for the baby? Were there signs of neglect or experiences that might have made it hard for them to feel secure or cared for? Did their early environment allow them to build trust in other people and feel confident that their needs would be met when they needed something? If a young person struggles with aggression, avoids relationships, or forms intense attachments to the people around them, These behaviors may be deep-rooted in their early experiences. Recognizing this can help us respond with understanding and support rather than frustration, stereotyping, and judgment. I'm going to give you 7 steps to success in attachment. What are the most common forms of behavior that you see in your young people? Often, trauma creates specific kinds of trust problems that can have lots of different ways of showing themselves. No names, obviously, but can you think of attachment behaviors that you've seen in young people that you're supporting or you're working with that you can see were linked to what they got or didn't get in their early life? The secret sauce to raising emotionally secure humans is not about being perfect. It's about okay parenting. We need to be predictable, present. Step 1, create a predictable environment. Babies don't like surprises. They need to know that the food's coming, the cuddles are there, and the comfort's gonna happen, preferably at very regular intervals. Step 2, foster positive interactions. Babies live for attention, smiling, eye contact, cuddles, touch, feel. This is the stuff that gets those neural connections, bonding hormones firing in everyone. Mom, dad, baby, caregiver, grandma, grandpa, everyone. Let's talk about step 3, let them explore. The key to a secure baby is having a secure base. They need to be curious. What's your job? To be their anchor, steady, reliable, always there when they need to return. Let them set sail on their little adventures, knowing they can always drift back to you because it's safety and reassurance as required. You're not steering the ship for them. You're just there to make sure there's a safe harbor for them to return back to, keeping them firmly rooted in a secure relationship. Step 5, be attuned and responsive. Attunement means really noticing what they need. Tuned in or attuned parent doesn't just hear crying. They're trying to figure out what's going on inside the baby. Why are they crying? Are they hungry? Are they tired? Have they just massively pooed themselves and been lying in it for half an hour? And they really respond appropriately when they see those signs. It's all about curiosity, engaging your baby and trying to understand what is in your baby's mind and acting on that, building hypothesis, testing hypothesis, and providing consistent care. So step 5, prioritize consistent and sensitive caregiving. The best thing you can do, just be consistent and sensitive, either when things are good or when it's a complete disaster. If you're only emotionally available when life's easy, then they'll learn that they can't rely on you when things are hard. So the best time to be consistent is when the shit hit the fan. Step 6, support transitions like a pro. Separation happens, but how you handle them matters. Quick goodbyes, big hellos, and no disappearing acts without preparation. Step 7, address the tough stuff. Life happens, stress happens, depression happens, tough life events occur. If you're struggling, get support. Like raising a securely attached child isn't a solo mission. It's okay to need help. And in order to be there for your baby, someone needs to be there for you. So get help if you need it. Secure attachment isn't about never messing up. It's about showing up, responding, and letting your kids know they matter. So put the phone down after this video, obviously. I'm joking. Put the phone down now if you've got a baby around. Give your kid a cuddle. Remember you're doing better than you think you are. So what next? Step up Mary Ainsworth, BOWLBY's #1 student. YouTube usually suggests a nice video to watch after, so I'm sure it's going to recommend something decent for you. How about that one? What is it? Let me know in the comments.